According to an article in the New York Daily News, the automatic transmission is what separates drivers in the US from the rest of the world. We rely more on the automatic transmission than the manual transmission. Manual transmissions are always around us even if you don't own one or know how to drive one. I believe that manual transmissions are something that not everyone knows how to do, but should at least have a general knowledge of them and how they work. The main points I will cover is I'll first take a look at manual transmissions, then I'm going to tell you the reasons to get a stick shift, and lastly I'll tell you the benefits of them. First off, we'll look at the manual transmission. Manual transmission has different names. It's also called the stick shift, the standard, or the manual tranny, but either way they work the same. The meaning of a manual transmission is that you actually manually put shift into a different gear than what you already are in. I believe this is great because this way when you're driving you always have something to do and it's less of a distraction compared to an automatic. The basics of a stick shift are that you have 3 pedals and you either have, instead of 2, and you either have 5 to 6 gears depending on what make it is. Now that I've showed you the basics, I'll talk about the reasons to get a stick shift and to know about a stick shift. To get a stick shift or to not get one, that's not even a question for me because I have a stick shift and I love it. Here's why I believe it's a definite yes. First off, once you learn and can confidently drive a stick, you can drive any vehicle you want to. You can drive a car, a truck, an SUV, whether it be automatic or a manual transmission. Once you learn how, you'll also never forget how to drive a stick shift because of muscle memory. Muscle memory will allow you to, even if you haven't driven in a couple of years, it will still allow you to get in that driver's seat and let you just, it may take you a few times, but after those few times, it'll feel like you're doing it like you were doing it yesterday. It's like learning how to walk. Once you learn how to walk, your body doesn't forget, and once you learn how to drive a stick, it also becomes a natural function once you get the hang of it. Another reason to get a stick shift is because me personally, I like working on my cars and my trucks because I like to interact with my car, tune it up, and be familiar with it so I can diagnose any problems that I may have or just know the general information about it. When you drive a stick shift, you have a greater interaction with that vehicle compared to driving an automatic because you have to shift that car and you have to push a clutch in. There's things to remember while you're driving a stick shift. You also get to know certain characteristics of your own vehicle, such as when you are shifting, what you get out of those shifts, and you learn what RPMs are and how they interact with your motor and your transmission. You also know how to drive your car to its full potential while driving a stick shift. Stick shifts are something that not everyone knows how to do, which is kind of sad to me because say you're in an emergency where one of your friends drove out to your house, you guys were doing something stupid, you don't have a vehicle, no one's there, you live way back in the boonies, and he broke his ankle. You at least have to have some general knowledge of how to drive that vehicle to get it out so you can get him called in or just get him out of that situation. Now that you know why I think you should get a stick shift, I'm going to tell you the benefits of it. And there are some really good benefits because the benefits of stick shifts are always going to be there no matter what. There are many cars that are going to the Tiptronic gears, which is where you have like a shifter paddle or a lever you have to hit to change a gear instead of a clutch you have to push in. It's still not exactly like a manual transmission, which is shameful because manual transmissions have that clutch, and one of the biggest benefits of it is that you get to shift it. You have the control over it. It keeps you more alert. But say you're driving your automatic vehicle and something mechanical or electrical goes wrong, like when those Toyotas had their throttle sticking. Well, if you're driving a clutch, all you had to do was push in your clutch pedal and your engine would rev up and you could shut your car down. But in an automatic, it'd drop a gear and just fire those RPMs up, and you'd be out of control for a little while and you wouldn't know what to do. You'd start freaking out. Another benefit is that usually stick cars are more efficient, like in gas mileage. They usually have better gas mileage. Service wise, you can save your brakes on a manual transmission by downshifting and using that as your braking action. The transmissions in manual cars are they're almost half the price of an automatic transmission to replace. But overall, I think the major benefit that I believe stick shifts has is the fun factor. You can push in the clutch and rev that engine up anytime you want. You don't have to mess around by putting the car into neutral and trying to think you're cool. You can actually push an actual clutch in. Stick shift cars are a lot more fun to drag race. They're a lot easier to do burnouts with, and are a lot more fun to drift because you're actually controlling it. You get to do what you want to do with the car. I mean, you always have the movies like the Fast and Furious where those are all stick shift cars or throw shifters, but everyday cars have 5 to 6 gears instead of 17. Now that we looked at manual transmissions and reasons to get a stick shift and the benefits of them, I still believe this is why people should know how to drive a manual transmission and why it can help them and others out. It's a new age where people in the US look past the stick shift and just go with what is easy and not gaining any knowledge on stick shifts and what they can do.